Good evening. It's Sunday night, so you know what that means. It's time for another Savvy Chat, and I'm Jen Hornjeff with Savvy Cooperative. I'll be your host tonight, and tonight we're going to have a super fun conversation with Lee Kim, who's joining us, and she's going to show you her fun backdrop and where she's calling in from. And tonight we're really going to dive into what it means to love what you do and how to bring that passion to work and to everything that you do. So Lee, why don't you give us a little hello and show our audience where you're calling in from?
All right. Hello. I'm calling from Midtown Manhattan. This is my office. I kind of have to show off my office, right?
And today, where do you work?
I work at Pfizer. So this is my headquarter office, which is kind of unusual for people pass by. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. They do double take.
Blown away. That's what I was like. This is amazing. Somebody from Pfizer, and this is their office. Absolutely terrific. Well, great. So, I mean, there's a lot to break down here. And I mean, I have to say to our audience and to you as well, Lee, that you are truly probably one of the most interesting people that I have met this year. And, you know, I want you to explain these pipe cleaner crowns that you've got, but like, so our audience also knows you don't just do pipe cleaners, that you have degrees in mechanical engineering and in fashion. You're going to talk to us about how you play with Legos and do design thinking and really bring kind of communities together around doing this. And of course, you're working at Pfizer and you help hospitals and patient groups. So there's just so much to unpack here, because clearly, and I hope people automatically already see that you are somebody who lives very vibrantly, and we want to just get into all that fun stuff as we talk about one of our core values of loving what you do. So before we go any further, please explain these pipe cleaner crowns and sculptures that you have all around.
Yeah. So, I mean, it all happened by mistake. So I have this condition that I don't remember people's birthdays that well, including my husband. And last year, May 20th, was my friend's birthday. And she's not just any friend, she's the one who introduced me to design thinking, actually changed my life. And I forgot her birthday. It was Saturday morning, I forgot her birthday, and I felt so crappy. Not because I forgot her birthday, but it was Facebook that reminded me that it was her birthday. You know, you all probably got that reminder, right? And it's great to get the reminder, but I was like, I want to remember. Like, I don't want to be reminded. I mean, I should remember. But anyway, so I said, I have a hard time remembering dates, so I have to do something. So I began creating a challenge for myself, and the challenge was I'm gonna do something for 365 days, no matter what, and I'm gonna make it a little bit difficult. Then I made 3 rules. Number 1, I'm gonna create something new every day, and whatever I create, I'm gonna wear it. And number 2, I'm gonna wear it from 9 to 5, because that's gonna be the most difficult time for me to actually wear something as crazy as this, and then be in the office or even the supermarket on the weekends. And then number 3 was, if somebody actually asks, like what is that about? Then I have to have a conversation with the person and then actually ask, well, this is why I'm doing this. What's your name? And that's how it started. And I didn't have a plan, other than the day one. And by the time I was done with 365, I had so many pipe cleaner hats that I began to print on my wall. And of course, now this is August 25th, right? And why am I still continuing? It's because my daughter, who is 5 years old, didn't want me to stop. Like, she was like, that's not fair that you're stopping this on May 20th. Because I unknowingly invite her to the creative process. Some of them she gives names, and some of them she actually makes with me. So every night she draws a story now, and then every morning I get up, and then sometimes she tells me the story, sometimes I interpret her story. And then now this one was actually based on a story about a mad tree. It doesn't have to be exactly what she drew, but it's something that inspires me to make it. So yeah, so that's like why I started and why I'm continuing. And people are like, so you're not gonna stop? Like, your challenge is over. Why are you continuing? I said, it's because and I want to continue. But actually, like in a selfish way, I love it because it gives me a reason to connect with strangers that I would have never have any reason to connect with. So I'm just thankful that Hannah is playing along as long as she has. Yeah, has
No,
been such a blessing. Yeah.
so incredible. And that's what we really connected on was that you do have to interact and tell your story to people when you have these things that are just unusual. And it's
Yeah.
funny to talk about that it's an accident because our little savvy puppets were kind of an accident of
Right. Yeah.
I was just out in Chicago last week and had the puppets, and people just stop and ask. I get Amtrak conductors that walk by me on the train and they ask, and it's so great to have that like jumping off point and have like
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah. Yeah. You invite people into your world, and I think we all wants to connect in some way. We just don't know how to start the conversation.
Yeah.
Like puppets or hats or something that's very childish, makes people feel comfortable.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's so wonderful that you're bringing your daughter into this, and I, it makes me think about, and I reflect on this myself, like, oh my gosh, what would my child self think
Yeah.
I'm doing now? So first of all, like, was there something that you wanted to be when you grew up?
No. So, you know, I have this frame in my office. I don't know if you can see it. This is this
Yeah,
type of village that I grew up in. So it was like, literally like when I went to middle school in a city, my friends was like, when were you born? Because like that happened 20 years ago. Um, so I never thought this is what I would do. But I wanted to do something. I think my mother bought me like this, collection of books, and one of the collections were like great people in history. And so I think like I wanted to be somebody, but I don't know if this is what because this was not a profession that was written in a book. Designers or creative folks is not really something that we admire, or I mean, at least when I was growing up. Yeah, so I don't think so.
yeah. I mean, now kind of looking at it, do you think that your child self would be proud of what you're doing now?
Yeah, I think so because one thing actually, I have been thinking a lot about why I do what I do, why I did certain things that I did, and I thought about it, and I remember when I was 11, I went to boarding school, and first night I got there, I I didn't like it, so I called my father and I just cried. I put the coins and I just cried, and then he was like, "What's up?" And I said, "Daddy, I don't want to be here. This is not a place I thought it was." And he said, "Well, you made a decision, so you stick with it." And that was like, okay, I made a decision. I'm 11 years old, and now I have to stick with this decision. But from then on, I basically did not ask for any help in any situations. If something goes wrong, I knew that my parents were far, far away, so they couldn't really come and help me. And but deep inside, I think I was looking for someone to help me, give me some guidance, give me some kind of encouragement, give me some road that I can see like where I'm doing right. So my childhood self, I think, will be very happy that I'm doing something that could help others, not in a big way, but I think about in alternate universe, will Lee be happy, if someone was doing this for her? And so I actually think I'm doing it for myself, although I'm doing a lot of things for others. I think the reason I do it is because I needed it so much myself growing up.
Yeah. I mean, you are doing others, and as expected, one of our first questions I see coming in is trying to figure out what the heck you do at Pfizer. Let's kind of dive into that.
Yeah. So yeah. So I was brought into Pfizer to bring design thinking to the team that I'm in, which is Global Congress team that deals with a large a lot of conferences that we sponsor, and I I actually don't do special jobs. Like this is what my job is. A lot of times, what I do is I question. So I question, whatever you're designing, whether it's an exhibit um, or interaction with other people. Are you designing with the person in mind? Um, if not, then who are you designing it for? And kind of ask that question of like, if you're walking down in this conference, what would a patient feel if the patient is walking? What would a doctor feel if the doctor is walking, right? So rather than showing off what we have, it is really trying to understand who are we designing it for? And it's not just about the conferences that we design for. It's actually like sometimes I love working with other teams. So some people actually come and say, "Hey, Lee, I heard that you're very creative. Can you help, designing PowerPoint?" So I'll go and I'll say, "Okay, yeah, of course I can help you design PowerPoint," which I'm not quite sure if I'm qualified to do that, um, but I will ask them, "Who is this talk for?" And the person will be a little bit, taken aback because they already had a PowerPoint prepared and they just wanted to make it a little bit nicer looking. But as we are having a conversation, they realize that maybe, we should think about the audience first and the storylines and what would the person sitting in the room or sitting in the boardroom or whatever it is, what would that person be feeling if you have posed these questions? And at the end, the biggest compliment, it will be like, I don't need a PowerPoint. I just need to have a conversation. If we can have that kind of reaction, I think I did my job very well.
Wow, really cool. Think about that. And so, kind of thinking about the fact that you're guiding people and having them sort of think through the user experience or whomever is doing it, like how'd you get into that? What brought you into design?
So, a lot of people, I think design thinking now is such a word that everybody kind of should know. It became very hip. But for me, it was a very personal experience. So about 4 years ago, actually, my parents disowned me. So this is a very personal story. My parents disowned me because we had very different beliefs about who I should be and who they think I should be. And it wasn't anybody's fault that we couldn't understand each other, but I really did not have any empathy. I had my logic. In engineering school, you have your problem statement and you apply formulas and you solve problems. And I thought my logic was very solid. So I told them, my logic works this way and this is what I think. And they were saying like, no, that's not how it works. Um, and so in the end, they disowned me. And then I came back, and 6 months, I was in like a zombie state. You know, it hurts to lose a family.
Oh, can't even imagine. That's yeah, it's deeply
I
personal.
didn't know what to do because that was never, I was never put in that situation of, like really dealing with, oh, there we go. Yeah.
Knew it was bound to happen. I just lost it.
Now you lost a family member. Um, and that's when I was exposed to design thinking. And the first question that Tracy posed, at least that I remember, was, "Do you know what empathy is?" And I thought I actually did not know what empathy meant because I learned English through textbooks. And in 1990s, when I was going to college, empathy was not a word that you learn. Right now, I think even kindergarten kids learn how to do empathy. Um, so I didn't know what empathy was, other than like people talk about it. And some people said, "Oh, it's putting yourself into somebody else's shoes," and I thought I did that. And then Tracy said, it's actually not putting yourself into somebody else's shoes because you will still be yourself in that person's shoes. It is trying to walk through the journey of that person from the beginning to wherever you know. So think about whoever you're thinking from the time you got to know them, and then see what their days are like, see what their months are like, see what their years are like. And attempt to understand that journey. And it was really hard to understand the concept, but I tried. So that night I went back to the hotel room and I thought about my parents' journey as being, young parent. And then that's when I realized, oh my God, like I got it all wrong. It was not about being right and being wrong. It was really truly trying to understand their point of view and their life. And I went back to Korea. And then, still there is a hurt. I think there's still the relationship was broken, but we were able to mend. So design to me is not a business proposition. It's something that I think at least part of design that we should focus a lot on the empathy portion. Who are you designing it for? I think that is so human that we have forgotten in our education system that, that do you really know who you are designing it for? Do you really know what their lives are like? And it's really impossible to know. All we can do is attempt. But I think if you can attempt really hard to be in that person's life, we can, you don't have to go through user experience design to do that, right? You just have to be deeply human to be able to do that.
And I gotta say, I'm blown away. That is the most really humanized way of explaining design and why we do what we do. Because I think, design thinking is kind of a buzzword. People get into
So people ask about ROIs a lot.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know how to measure ROIs, but if I do design something right, then I can count smiles. And you can literally do that. You go into an exhibition you designed, or you go into a place you designed, or a product you designed, and if you just watch people, I don't know how you can do ROIs, but I know how you can do return on smiles. I don't, maybe ROS, because it is so real. You can actually feel that the return in that space.
A smile's been plastered on my face ever since we first logged onto this and we started doing it. I said, oh my gosh. And then it made me want to join you and where you were. And that's why I needed to generate that positivities. It's refreshing to really kind of dive into that, because I think we talk about things like empathy all the time too. It's a buzzword itself, and really to get at the core of it, and for you to have that helpful reminder that it's very different than just putting yourself in thinking about their shoes.
Different.
So, and it makes me think too, what we've been doing for the past several weeks is talking about some of our core values here at Savvy have been the themes of our Savvy chats. But especially after hearing all this, what are some of your personal values or guiding principles?
So as I said about my alternate self in the alternate universe, I talked to that person a lot. The person who wanted to do something but did not have any guidance, wanted to get out of the situation but couldn't get out. So my core value is, if I do this, will the person in my alternate universe be happier? So I'm doing it very selfishly, right? Also, lately, I have been thinking a lot about this. Am I creating more than am I consuming? So this one, I think I actually heard from someone, but it became more real to me when I create the crowns. Because sometimes, so I create every morning, right? From I got on the subway to when I get off the subway, that 45-minute ride is when I create this. I can consume during those 45 minutes. I could, check my Facebook, check my Instagram, check my LinkedIn, which I do from time to time. But at the end, I have nothing to give. Mm-hmm. But when I create this, if I go out after this talk, and if somebody points out, hey, that's a nice crown, I say, do you want it? And I would like to give it to you. And now what I have created is no longer just a thing that I can just put on my wall. It's something that I can give, literally.
Yeah.
So now that has become one of my guiding principle that am I creating more things of a value than things that I consume every day.
Yeah. It's, I mean, it sounds cliche, but it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
I know.
But
It has become real to me. Like it was a cliche before, but then now like I'm creating things and I'm actually able to give away, and it has become real.
yeah. Well, helping others and connecting with others, it can be very exhausting and taxing. And so, how do you find that you balance this of, still, like you talk about being selfish, but we all have to maintain that
Yeah.
self care. So, how do you balance that and going out and helping others?
I think my toughest balance is how do I make sure that my family do not feel abandoned when I go out? Because every Friday night, Hannah will ask, like, "Mommy, are you gonna be home this weekend?" And more often than not, I am not. Right. So like, how do I tell her that mommy is not gonna be home with you? Mommy is gonna go out and do workshops and things like that. Um, so I used to feel really guilty about it. I used to feel really guilty about not being able to spend time with her.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's a guilt that was imposed on me by society or a guilt that I really felt guilty about because hopefully I have raised her so that she can appreciate the time that I spend with her. Because when I spend time with her, that I spend time with her fully.
Yeah.
When I go out, it's not like I'm going out to shop. I'm going out to help, right? So I think that that balance is not necessarily like are you have enough energy to do all this because right now I do. Like I can go on forever, but it's that guilt. Like, are you feeling guilty about not spending time with your family?
Yeah.
And if I am truly honest, I don't feel guilty that I'm spending time Saturday and Sunday doing the workshops, but I do worry that you know she is not gonna know why I do what I do. But hopefully I'll raise her, well enough so that maybe when she's like 10, I can bring her with me so she can appreciate what I do. Yeah.
Well, and I think kind of goes into the fact that you're somebody who's really passionate about your work, and not everybody is, but you're doing that, and you're actually doing a lot more than just working at Pfizer. You're doing so many other community workshops and
Yeah.
building these kind of communities. So,
Yeah.
kind of what drove you to even start that? Like, how did you start doing these other things outside of your quote unquote day job?
So Design Dream Lab is the community collectives where anyone who wants to make a positive impact in local community can come and gather and learn human-centered design and also connect with like-minded people. The idea came because there was no one else doing community building that way. We have a lot of meetups, so for like UX for good um, or some kind of like impact work, but I didn't feel that there was a place where we can come like church. You go to church every Sunday or every Saturday or every whatever the time it is, you know, church or chapel or house of worship, you can go there and there will be people who can work with you to do something meaningful or to get inspired. So I wanted to build that community. Also, it is because I didn't have that. It took me a long time to figure out this is really something that I wanted to do. I'm 44 years old. I was engineer for 20 years, right? But I find it such a blessing that I can do this. So if I found my blessing when I'm 40 or close to 40, what if I wasn't? What if I wasn't lucky enough to be introduced to design thinking at the right time that opened my eyes to a totally different universe, right? So I think about that person that I didn't become, that got just to doing the work because this is what I got my degree in. So it's not a sacrifice to me. It's really something that I must do. Like that I like if I don't do it, if you don't do what you do, you know, who else will do it, right? I mean, maybe somebody else will do it, but somebody has to take the initiative to start, and then you know there will be others who can join in once there is a community established.
Yeah, I think it's so important. For many years, I've been lived by sort of this barometer of, is there something that I can do that might be uniquely positioned to be, that I could be uniquely positioned to do, as opposed to, is it something that I could do that other people can do also? And I think what
Yeah,
you're bringing to it is these unique experiences, that is something that maybe others might not be bringing that to the table. And so it is so fortunate that you're willing to do that, and to
yeah,
this community at Design Dream Lab.
yeah, yeah. And
So
there's so many. I mean, there are so many people who make me happy, you know, when I go there. I think, you know, it is those community members that makes me go more forward than just to stopping at where I am. And it's so important to have that people around you
yeah,
pick
well,
you up, you know.
it's because of the rest of the community that makes somebody really, re-energized. And that's a
Yeah,
filling your cup because you are responding to the energy of your community. And I think
yeah,
tremendous. And now I want you to tell folks what you taught me about what's called Lego serious play.
yeah.
So
So
have you
I'm
told
always I'm always looking out for like how can I get people to reveal, or how can I learn about you without like being too I don't know how to say it, too um well, like a therapist, like, you know, like so somebody exposed to me to the Lego serious play, and I said, oh, I don't really do Legos. I really do not like building things, you know, like I always the spaceship I was supposed to build became like a horse or something. Um, so Lego serious play is a totally different way of engaging with another person through metaphors. So I was actually building something tonight. So I was like, you know, this is you and me having a conversation. I don't know if you can see it. So as we're having a conversation, I'm hoping that we will kind of get to a place that we kind of see, okay, like I can, you know, I didn't know where you're going, but somehow you will get there. But there are a lot of things that's going on around us that's kind of like making us to stop, look, focusing on that one. So while I'm having this conversation with you right now, although it's only half an hour, and you know, things dropping in the background, I kind of have to like remove this one, right? And then just focus on this so that we can have the conversation. Now, this was such a powerful method to have a conversation because you start building, you don't even know what you're building, but you can actually ask questions, not about you or me, but about the model. And then that became such a such an inspiration for me. And so I'm just having a lot of fun with it. And there was another one that I just recently learned about, Visual Explorer. So I'm exploring that one as well. Yeah. So many things to learn.
I'm telling people about Lego serious play, and that, it's just so interesting that we can be using these simple tools like dolls that are unfortunately falling off the wall, and Legos and pipe cleaners to
Yeah.
energize people and get them thinking about different things, and getting them sort of thinking outside the box. Because asking
Yeah.
through a traditional question, how do you feel about this? How do you think this
Right.
conversation is going to go? But if you
Yeah.
Legos or puppets or whatever, it just becomes
Yeah.
a whole different way of engagement.
Yeah. I still remember your puppet show at the conference. It was so much fun.
Well, it's different. So here you and I are clearly people that are having a good time with what we're doing. But for others, do you think it's possible for them to find passion in their jobs, or do they have to just kind of like quit and then start something different?
I think you have to search. Like, so, you know, before I went to design, so, you know, I studied mechanical engineering, as you said, and then I also studied fashion design. But the connection between the two only came when I started doing design thinking. But if I didn't do fashion design, I think the connection would have been not as strong as that I had gone through fashion design. So although, I didn't finally become a expert engineer or a great fashion designer, I was constantly searching. Like I was, expert at designing pedestrian and transit ways, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. So while I was at work, I was constantly searching. Doesn't mean that I was constantly searching for a job. I was just constantly doing things. I learned to quilt. And then that led me to go to fashion school, and that led me to go for like X, Y, and Z, and then that led me to this and that. So I don't think you have to be constantly searching for jobs, but I think you should, at least for me, I was constantly searching for something that makes me happy.
And so what advice do you have to help energize people as they go back to work tomorrow on Monday? Like what might they do to just, dip their toe into engaging with people or making people smile?
So it's I was having a lot of hard time when I first started this, right? For 200 days, 9 o'clock hits. I was like, nobody knows if I don't do it at 9 o'clock. I'm gonna just, go into my office and hide in my office, and then everything will be okay. Um, but I think kind of like setting myself some type of rules, and then pushing myself to certain limits, and then becoming that person was really important. Again, this was something that happened to me. It might not be the same for everybody else, but kind of, make yourself a challenge.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm gonna say hi to, 5 different people that I get into work, and I'm gonna just say, hey, what's up today, whatever. Or maybe I'll send an email to 5 different people and asking like, hey, I just thought about you. But whatever it is, I think it's important for you to set that rule and then follow through, however hard that might be. And then one day it becomes like, I cannot wait for another day.
No, I think that's nice. Just really starting somewhere. So,
Yeah.
well, oh my gosh, this has been an amazing conversation, and I just want to keep going forever. But let's go to some of our rapid fire questions just to quickly learn a little bit more about you. Although, of course, you've really taken us on this journey with you. So thank you for sharing so much. But we've talked a little bit about what you're doing outside of Pfizer and Design Dream Lab. But outside of that, what else are you doing? What else kind of is a hobby or something that keeps you energized?
What do I do outside? So I'm always looking for something. Storytelling is something that's really kind of interesting because my daughter loves storytelling. So I'm trying to figure out like what is the way that I can connect with her more than just creating this. So outside of Pfizer and outside Design Dream Lab and outside of my work at Children's Hospital is really trying to understand, create a project that she doesn't know. My daughter doesn't know, but like my own project that I could create that we can put together as like a storytelling by me and her. It is actually starting to come out rather unexpectedly, pretty nicely. So hopefully, you know, I'll be able to give her a birthday gift or something when she's 10.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so, heard a lot. What's something quirky about you that people don't know?
Oh yeah, this is fun. So I love reading cartoons. So I have this like guilty pleasure that every night I'll go home and I spend about an hour reading Korean webtoons. So if you, yeah, so there's, it's not just a cartoon, it's a webtoon, so I can access it every day. And there's the categories of romance, horror, and and I go through every one of them. And my husband will be like, "Are you reading cartoon again?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, like this is enriching my soul." Like, yeah. So I read cartoon religiously every night.
That's awesome.
I think I can say that's part of my job. It's feeding my creativity.
I wouldn't want you to answer any other way. So what's one of the biggest healthcare headaches or challenges that you see that we have to address?
I think that we have to have a healthcare is a problem. Like I, when my husband was laid off about 2 years ago, and I had a job, but like we were lucky, right? But what if? And that always stays in my head. Like, what if I don't have that? That living in constant fear in this country, at least, I think it limits us to be the best we can be because you're always kind of thinking about, oh, what if my healthcare is taken away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that I think that we have to pay our healthcare, and at certain point, like it's not gonna be covered. I don't even know because I don't check. Like I'm the type of person who checks like, oh, what's covered by health insurance. Um, but in my back of my mind, especially when my husband, was laid off, that became so real. Like, oh my God, we could live without healthcare if I don't have a job.
Yeah, no, believe me, many of the people that are going to be watching this also live in that same fear or are unfortunately living that reality. And it's really, to say it's a shame is a complete understatement, but it's just horrifying that that's state of the state of healthcare. Which brings me to my next question of what song title have you selected that you think best describes the state of healthcare? Everyone's favorite question.
What's the most difficult one of all? So you asked me about this before, and since I don't listen to music, that you should ask my husband; he will be able to answer a lot better. So I googled. I want a song with this theme, and so I said unstable but hopeful, right? And it gave me a music group called X Ambassadors, and
Okay.
the title of the song is Unsteady.
I think that that's a perfect title. You did a perfect job finding a song.
And I listened to it too, and okay, yeah, I think I can actually listen to this one and then think that yeah, I think this is it. Yeah.
Well, thanks for playing along with our little game there. Well, is there anything else that you're working on that you want to plug that we haven't covered here? We talked about Design Dream Lab, the work you're doing at Pfizer. Anything else?
Yeah. So I wanna so I'm now working with Design Dream Lab on one of the event which will take place in New York City at the end of October. So there will be 1 week long events held everywhere throughout 5 boroughs called Reimagine. Is Reimagine end of life, but it's not just looking at end of life, but actually it's looking at end of life um, every day so that you can live your life more fully. Um, so Design Dream Lab is holding 2-day gathering, something called before slash and END slash after, and we are doing before departure that we're gonna talk about love and death and preparing for your last days, and actually, people talk about how to take care of their loved ones. And then we have the second day, which is gonna be called Good Grief, which is when your loved ones die. um, how do you go through the grieving process so that you can actually have your life back? And how do you actually support one that's grieving? And as a society, we don't talk about this as if it doesn't happen. But I think it's really important. And I am guilty of it too. I never thought about this until 2 years ago. But I think it's really important for us to support each other, to talk about difficult conversations, right? To have those conversations, because just because we don't have the conversation doesn't mean that it doesn't happen.
Exactly.
So,
That's so.
yeah.
Where can people find information on Reimagine?
So it's at www.lessimagine.org. And then I think within a week, there will be events posted on the website.
Great. I want to make sure I'm typing that in. Let's imagine.
Lessimagine.org.
Awesome. So I just typed that into the chat so people who are watching now or in the
Yeah.
future can find that because that sounds exceptional.
Yeah.
This has been just an amazing Savvy Chat. I've learned so much even about you, and it's just really kind of made me excited to get to work again tomorrow, because as somebody who already lives passionately, you've even stepped me up a notch. So this is amazing. And before we close out, just to let people know that next week, since it's the Labor Day holiday, we're going to take a little break on Sunday. We're going to go rogue, and our Savvy Chat for the next one will be actually on that Wednesday. So it'll be about a week and a half. So Wednesday, September 5th, we're doing it at 2 p.m. and you're not going to want to miss it, because we're going to be talking to Andre Blackman, who's a total rock star, and he's with Onboard Health, and he's going to be talking with us about championing inclusivity. And that's something really important that we need to be talking about, and is one of our core values. So don't miss that on our Rogue Savvy Chat on September 5th. So Lee, this was absolutely tremendous. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to not only get on the phone with me tonight, but to specifically go into your office so that we could see all the and live that passion with you. So I'll let you say words. If you want to say a little goodbye at all. But
bye, everybody. Well, they can contact me anytime.
Yeah, we'll put your contact info in, and anybody that doesn't catch it, feel free to always email us, hello@savvy.coop. We will put you in touch with any of our tremendous guests, because we're here for you guys to connect. This is not about us. This is to make sure that we can spread the good word of all of the people that are working to do amazing things in healthcare. And Lee is one of those tremendous examples. So thank you, Lee. And thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight and in the future. And hope you guys have a great week and a good Labor Day. And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye, everybody.